Hello, I'm Donald Leggett, and welcome to the latest London South East CEO interview. I'm joined today by Roger Brown, the new CEO at LSE main market listed Seplat, Nigeria's largest independent oil and gas producer. Welcome, Roger.
Thank you, Donald, and hi, everyone.
Congratulations on stepping up to become Seplat's new CEO.
Well, thanks very much. You know, it's a great honor. It's a real true accolade for the board to do this and appoint me. So I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to the challenge ahead.
But Seplat is far from new to you. You're an old hand. You've been at Seplat many years, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, I have, yes. I've been Seplat now for 7 years. And before that, I was actually banking Seplat. I was advising them. And then I decided to join the company back in 2013. So yeah, I've been here. I've been in Nigeria for quite some time and very much experienced in what's going on with the company.
Fantastic. You're the man to answer the next question. Then put all the Seplat assets into context for us. What is Seplat? Who are Seplat? And why are they interesting?
Yeah, well, Seplat's a Nigerian-focused energy company. We've got 8 assets in Nigeria. We started out in 2010 with our first assets. We bought 3 of them from Shell, and we really started the indigenization of the Nigerian oil sector, where Nigerian companies started to own more and more of the acreage in country. So we did that, and then we've obviously added 5 assets since then. So we're onshore Nigeria, and when we say energy, we're oil and gas upstream, but also we have a very big midstream gas processing business, which is very critical to the success of the power sector in Nigeria. You know, generally on a day, we are providing about 1/3 of the gas that fuels that power grid within Nigeria. So it's pretty interesting. We're very much a strategic player, a very strong workforce, mostly Nigerian. We have some expats like me, dotted around the business, but generally we are an indigenous company from the board level, right through the employees, and very much a big player in country as we drive energy for the Nigerian population.
And give me a sense of your scale. I understand you're a major producer. Tell me your oil and gas producing numbers.
Yeah, so just in context, we're about 2/3 oil, 1/3 gas in terms of production. In reserves, we're about half and half. In terms of our daily production, we are reporting now today 51,000 barrels of oil equivalent a day, and that's in a guidance range of 47 to 57. So we've got quite a wide guidance range this year, obviously because of COVID-19, etc. But we're quite a major player, and for anyone who doesn't know us, 51,000 barrels of oil a day is quite a major level of production if you compare it to other London-listed independent companies.
Oh, don't worry. Our audience understand that that's a serious number. No, you're a serious player. Now, should we expect a slight change in strategy now that you're CEO? I mean, are you going to be doing things any differently?
Well, initially we are going to run our strategy. So there's no immediate, day one, big bang, right, we're changing everything. Really it's about we've got a very clear strategy. It's develop oil. It's really expanding in the gas business because gas for us is a very big transition fuel in the market and the fuel that's relevant for Nigeria given its gas reserves. So that will continue as it is, but obviously the world's changing for us. All oil companies are changing dramatically. In fact, to be honest with you, Donald, all of the companies in the world, have been impacted from COVID. I think it's a different world we're going to go into, and the oil sector is very much impacted by it. It has to get a relevance going forward in terms of who's going to use oil, how is it going to do the transition changes in fuel, and how does it move into more of a carbon reduction and carbon zero environment. And Seplat's no different. Seplat needs to deliver the energy for Nigeria. And Nigeria is an incredibly fast growing population. It's a smart population. It's the highest GDP in Africa. And the population today is 200 million, and the next 30 years is predicted to double. And of course today, there's not enough energy in country for that population. It's very hungry, very young as well, Donald. Its average age is 18. So it's a very young, very hungry, entrepreneurial population that needs energy for the much needed growth. And that's really what we are doing at Seplat, is leading that energy for the country, and then really driving the energy change, the transition. So we're in gas. We're going to do more value chain of gas from LPG to CNG. And then at some point, we'll then move into renewable energy as part of our overall energy mix. And it's really about delivering that carbon reduction for Nigeria whilst it's still trying to grow as a country.
Okay, Seplat's gas production, as you just said, a significant part of Nigeria's electricity generation, and that's before the major ANO project comes on stream. So, how much gas will the ANO project deliver, and when can we expect first gas at ANO, and what do you have to do between now and then?
Okay, so in terms of what we deliver, ANO delivers 300 million scuffs a day. Now that's quite. So what does that really mean? That's probably 1,000 megawatts of maybe 1,200 megawatts of power, if that gas all goes into the power sector. So it's very, very significant in terms of the grid. If you look back to the Nigeria grid, its installed capacity is 12,000 megawatts. Its effective capacity today is between 5 and 6. Okay, and this would be delivering anything up to 20% of that current grid. Of course, in Nigeria, what you have is, if you lived here, you would have a diesel generator in your front garden. Every office has one, every hotel's got one, every home's got one, and the noise and the din of this imported diesel, it's environmentally unfriendly. What we're doing with these gas developments is really displacing this diesel. Okay, and it's an environmental benefit, the CO2 reductions as well, and and there's probably about 4 times the grid size in off-grid diesel generation. So we're going to be busy for a very, very long time, actually just displacing that diesel generation before we add in additional.
If I could interrupt you there, is the gas infrastructure in place? Are the electricity stations which take gas built yet? Is there infrastructure for all that? Tell me all.
Yeah, so there is. I mean, the government went through a gas master plan, I don't know, probably almost 20 years ago, setting out how it was going to build a backbone of gas in Nigeria. So yes, there is infrastructure. So in our existing operations, we've got gas pipelines which will take that gas to the power plants and industrial consumers. That's already in place. But as you build and grow that grid and the power sector, of course, there's massive infrastructure needed. You need to put in additional power plants. We need to do transmission lines, etc. And we won't necessarily be doing it at Seplat, but there needs a lot of inward investment to basically fuel this energy-hungry country. So enough for what, in terms of our expansion, the ANO gas plant you asked about, which comes on board in 2021 and Q4. We are very much on track for that. There will be a big, quite significant size of gas pipeline, which takes that gas straight to our operation at Oben, onshore Nigeria, which is just slightly south of Lagos. And of course, Lagos is the biggest capital in the city in the country.
So have you sorted out your gas off-takers yet?
Yes, so we have quite a number of gas off-takers. Yes, we've got the Nigerian Gas Company, who's our partner in the plant itself. So they're going to take about a third of the gas. And then we have other industrial consumers all set up, because there's a lot of demand for this gas. There's more demand than there is supply today. Even though in the ground, there's enormous gas reserves in Nigeria, and there's a lot of gas flaring goes on. It's just getting that supply regularly into the off-taker. So yep, we're fully contracted up for that. We're just about to sign up those final gas supply agreements, and then this will be on a 15 to 20-year basis. Will be contracted.
And Seplat are going to lead the way in Nigeria in terms of gas.
Yeah, and it is, if you look at the gas reserves, they are enormous. If you look at Nigeria, um, it's hard to understand what goes on, that we import about 20,000 megawatts equivalent of diesel for off-grid diesel. Even though we produce a lot of oil, we still import refined product because we don't refine in country, and we have enormous gas reserves, but half of which we export through LNG. So you have a very um, energy hungry population that needs clean power, and gas is the fuel to deliver that. That's the base load fuel which will deliver that GDP growth for Nigeria itself.
Okay, let me take you back to the start of our interview when we were talking about a half-year results. Now, it's actually been a challenging year, given you've had COVID and you've had the oil price crash. So, how has Seplat performed in this half year?
Yes, well, in terms of our performance, we have a very robust model. We have a very good control of costs. I mean, our operating costs is about $7.60 a BOE, which, if you look on a context, that's very competitive, and we're really driving that down between to $6 to $5 a BOE basis. We have strong production. Yes, we were hit by the oil price. And in fact, Q2, probably around April, we really saw big discounts in the oil, as well as, quite a big discount in terms of into Data Brent was trading a big discount to ICE Brent itself. So yes, that impacted us, and the oil price we got for the half was about half of last year's equivalent. But we still turned out good profits in terms of gross profits. We are obviously hit by some impairment, as every oil company has been. But in terms of our cash generation, we are delivering in the half slightly less than $200 million of cash generation. We've stabilized our production, and we drilled out 6 wells in the half, and we've got another 2 which we're drilling in Q3. So the business is robust. Look, we've been through this before. We've been in 2016, 2017, we were interrupted by our pipeline shut-in for almost a year and a half. The company has been stress tested. It's come through that stress test. And so when this happened in Q2, the whole company came together to get through it. And touch wood, oil is starting to recover in terms of price, and the company is well poised. It's got strong cash position. We've got almost $350 million of cash. We've got a net debt position of around 450. So, the company balance sheet is capable of taking the Q2 downturn, and it's really poised for growth in the future.
Okay, let me take you to Eland Oil and Gas and its Niger Delta assets. Now, you bought those in a cash deal worth 382 million. That's 166 pence per share. Remember those heady days. So what did you acquire, and how is that acquisition bedded down?
Yeah, I mean, look, Eland was a neighbor just north of us from our western assets. And when we did that acquisition, we did it on for a number of reasons. One is obviously they created strong production. We've got really excellent quality subsurface reservoirs, similar to our western asset reservoirs. So it's something we know inside out. And the ramped up production there. There's economies of scale because we're in the same area, so they're contiguous from where we are. Also, they export through the same terminal as us. So really about it is about drilling out some more wells. These are prolific wells. They bring in 5,000 to 6,000 barrels a day each one of them. They're dual string completion wells. So they're pretty interesting in terms of the throughput. That oil is now coming back into Forcados, our same terminal as us. And what we're looking at doing is looking at economies of scale of creating a one-point export route for us. So we're about to do another pipeline or complete it from our western assets to the Scravos terminal, which is another terminal just north of Forcados. But there's another terminal beside that, which we're looking to feasibility is, can we bring that up to working condition and then create our own export route? And that's something we're working, and if we can make it work for our Western assets, then there's a logical step of potentially bringing through the OML 40 production through that. So there's the economies of scale of combining production. The workforce understands.
It's as much about synergies for you.
Yeah, and it's growth. If you look at OML 40, there's two developments that we can do. There's the Moby exploration well, which is just north of Oklahoma, which is one of the main production sites. And that's an exploration well which we want to try and spud. I'd say maybe first half of next year if we can, or maybe in the second half. But that is carrying a P50 reserve potential of about 40 to 45 million barrels. In the context, we bought 40 million barrels. So that comes in. It's, by the way, it's exploration. We all know the risks of exploration. But if it comes in, then we can potentially see a doubling of the reserves of Eland. And that's a big upside. We can produce it in through Oklahoma. And then there's Abiala, which is the development just north of Betty-Ucan. And again, that's a previous discovery. We can then put in some additional wells there and hook it back to Betty-Ucan. So there's plenty of production uplift. There is exploration upside, and there's commonality of synergies in that asset.
You're a big business. You want to become a bigger business. Are you looking at acquisitions in the future?
We've always looked at that. We've always looked to ramp up what we have, get the most out of it in terms of our production of our existing assets, and then utilize that cash flow for, one is we did the gas, obviously we talked about previously, and then the other one is obviously inorganic or acquisitions. And so Seplat was, being the only company dual listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange and the main board of the London Stock Exchange, we bring along a credibility, a very high level of governance and visibility for sellers of assets. So, when you engage with Seplat, you're confident that Seplat can complete a deal. We did a on-market, London market takeover of Eland. Again, that's another first for a Nigerian company to go to London Stock Exchange and acquire another one. So we have a capability, a very strong team who's very commercial and very technically good, and we are a credible partner. So yes, I see more divestments in the future at the right time. I think major oil companies are really looking, saying, what is the future for major oil companies, and how do they see themselves in the next 5 to 10 years? You see what's happened with BP, going carbon zero and everything else. I think others will follow, and they're holding very big asset positions in Nigeria, and we expect them to start to bring some of that to the party, and Seplat's well poised to get those.
Okay. Seplat's an indigenous Nigerian E&P. Now, some investors may be wary of investing in Nigeria because of the in-country risk. What would you say to reassure them? Risks are all about is how you handle risk, right? Understanding what the risk is and mitigating that risk. Okay, and Seplat has 10 years now, so we've been proven that we can go from when we first took over the first assets, they were doing in working interest terms about 7,000 a day, 7,000 barrels a day. We're now at 51, so we've had a massive ramp up in terms of production. We've been able to put the infrastructure, manage our risk, look at alternative export routes, bring gas in as well. So Seplat is set up to manage the risk of the country. It understands Nigeria. It understands the politics around it, the oil sector. It also has a very good understanding of international capital markets and what they want. We have a bond, we have a Euro bond, we're listed on the London Stock Exchange, etc. We have a lot of international banks lending money to us. So what Seplat really provides is a good platform of true understanding in country. And yes, it is risky in terms of oil and gas. Globally is a riskier business. Of course it is. An extractive industry is. Nigeria carries a risk profile, but I firmly believe that risk profile is over magnified. I think really when you boil it down and you have a true understanding of what those risks are, you can manage them
and you can make it work. So what Seplat brings is that sort of confidence of an investor that has a very top quality company that can handle these risks and know how to mitigate them.
And you would say institutional investors to retail investors, it's exactly those reasons that you ought to be investing in our stock, I presume.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you don't want to play in, you've got to make decisions. Do you want to go to Nigeria or not? There's enormous potential. You have probably one of the fastest growing populations in the world. In the next 30 years, there's 1 billion people, maybe more, coming to Africa, and 200 million of them will go to Nigeria. In context, Nigeria will become the 3rd biggest country by population in the world. So it'll be probably India, then China, then Nigeria. So in terms of that, there's a huge opportunity for all investors. We need inward investment into the country. There's lots of infrastructure we want to be able to put in. As a return for the investors, there's upside potential, a lot of upside potential in the stock. And also there's dividends. So we're committed to paying a dividend. We pay one every year. And we try to commit to the core dividend and then a top up. The core dividend is 5 cents a share. And then the top up, is up to 10 cents a share is where we try to target to. To put in context, look at our share price, look at the yield we're paying today on a regular basis. And the share price is, our view, of course, is suppressed. There's plenty of upside potential for the growth within country going forward.
Roger Brown.
Yeah,
Roger
so it's a great place to invest in.
Great place to invest in. That's a good place to end. Roger Brown, new CEO at Seplat. Thank you so much for joining us today. That was absolutely fascinating. I learned a lot. For more interviews like this one, please subscribe to the London Southeast YouTube channel. My final thought, thank you very much indeed for watching, and do stay safe.